Welcome to Positive Waves. My name is Matthew Collinson, and this is my great friend.
I'm Joseph Soma.
And today we have a special guest on. He's a good friend of mine that I've gotten to know over the past probably year or so now, Mark. Is that correct?
That's about right, I think.
Excellent, excellent. So he's so special, and he has such a positive mentality on life and what life is. And he's bringing us a really great subject to discuss today that I think a lot of people will be interested in. So with that, I'd like you to introduce yourself, Mark, and say what it is that you do and kind of where you're coming from in the world. And then we'll dive into your subject. You can even introduce the subject if you wish.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you, Matt and Joe. I'm really happy to be here. I am a life improvement specialist. I consider myself a heart set coach. That is something that I've focused my professional career on. I've studied under some great mentors, and I have been trained to be a coach from one of the greatest institutes on the planet. That's Mary Morris's Brave Thinking Institute, which really is a very spiritual way of doing things. And it opened up my heart to that level of conversation, the heart set topic that I'm really passionate about. And there's a lot of mindset talk out there. So what I've really focused my professional career on is inviting people into the conversation of their feelings, or as a lot of us know, our subconscious mind, which not only houses all of our passions and dreams and desires, but it also holds the paradigms and the blocks and the energy leaks. So for me, that was a really big thing to, and I have recently crafted a program called Discover Your Higher Self, which helps draw people into their broadcast. And that's something coming out of Bruce Lipton. And that leads us to the topic today that I'd love to talk about, which is, what is source? What is this source energy that we talk about a lot? And I love that topic. I really love the science of spirituality and coming a little bit deeper into not asking in a negative way, why do things happen, but asking in a curious way, why do these things happen, and why is the system the way it is? And I found the more I became aware of the system, the easier it was to use, and the more I could move myself forward in directions I wanted to move. And now I love showing others how to do that. And it's been a blessing. I'm so grateful for great people like you that I've attracted into my community, and being able to connect at this level. So yeah, let's get it going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mark. Yeah, source energy, because every time I talk about energy with my kids or anybody else really, other than my small community that I keep online around me that understands this topic, it's like, what is energy? What is that? It's not even there. It doesn't exist, or they haven't gotten to that plane of thought to where it's like, we all are energy. Everything is energy around us. Yeah, exactly. That curtain's energy, Mark. And my computer's energy, and my notepad in front of me is energy. So what is it, and what is that source, I guess, entail? So I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it, and I'll add where I can, I suppose, because I think we're all on a guessing journey in this one.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, obviously, I'll start right out and give you my image of this. Going to come a lot into the science laws of the universe, or what I love to call the rules of the game. Right. And I really do look at life as a game now. And that is, I don't take things so seriously, as I realized that was one of the biggest lessons I got. So in this source conversation, I realized that one of the fulcrum points for me moving forward was I always took my feelings of things so seriously. If I feel a certain way, well, that's it. That's got to be truth. That's got to be law. That's just the way it is, because I feel this way. And thanks to the great mentors I had, they really asked me powerful questions around that. Is it really truth? Or is it just the way you would see things, or used to see things, and can it be different? And wow, there's very powerful questions to consider. Do I need to get angry at this moment? Must I feel sad, or can I shift that? And to me, that really is kind of part of this source conversation. So in the rules of the game, or the laws, as it were, when I think of source energy, I think, okay, what's powering us, right? And for everything we have that releases energy, there's a power source to it. And it's like, one of the great lessons Mary gave us is, if I have a lamp and I plug it in, I'm not wondering whether or not it's going to work. Quite often I plug it in, I turn it on, I have this faith. I know through the system of how we have harnessed electricity, this is going to work. And she uses that as a teaching tool to help us understand that we can manifest what we want. And that structure of certainty, and, in the computer world, they call that the certainty through probability, how we've structured our computers to work. And it's very intriguing, right? So we talk about this energy. Now, a lamp has electricity. So what do we have? So I did a lot of research on food and sleep and how they play a part as to our regeneration. And is that our power source? And a question downloaded to me in the middle of talking to a client about this, where they're very much into exercise and they work out, and they're very strong. And we talked a little bit about that, about the transfer of food into your system to power you. And when we talked about how much power you have, and I remember a lesson that I learned from Bob Proctor a long time ago, where science had discovered that every cell of your body harnesses somewhere in the vicinity of 11 million kilowatt hours of electricity. And I went, oh my God, seriously, did science really discover that? Think about that. 11 million kilowatt hours per cell. It's hard to fathom that. You have billions of cells in your body. And the question that came up to me, and I asked him this, do you think you're getting that from a steak? And it was such a great conversation. We're like, whoa, wait a minute now. Could just a steak really give you that kind of energy? Could that really transfer to that much energy? So in my research, I found out that theoretically the food helps to regenerate your physical cells, but the energy you have isn't coming from the regeneration of the cells. The energy is electromagnet. So the more I studied that, and sleep is an information dump, kind of like defrag or however you want to, look at that. So with the sleep and the food, that helps with our physical body. Where is our energy coming from? And that was such a great mystery for me. And I would hear these mentors say, we have a power coming to us. And that was a bit dissatisfying. No, not good enough. I want to know where it's coming from. What's this energy you say is coming to me? So here's the big drop from my perspective. I love tapping into the latest science. I follow a lot of the physicists in quantum mechanics. I love the cosmologists searching out in the universe. I'm always looking at the stars and what's going to come out of this. And lately, in the last 20 years, they discovered, and I'm sure the science community and a lot of people recognize this, what they call dark energy. And they actually found it. And it's part of my program. I actually have a picture of it that I show to help people understand that the entire universe is connected. And through these strands of electricity that are in the X-ray spectrum, we just can't see them with our eyes. They're there and they detect it. And now that they've detected it, that is now my image of source. So that's my big drop, is that this energy permeating the universe actually connects star to star to star to star to star to planet to being. And it's an electrical system, or, I look at this as it's the same system that Nikola Tesla discovered when he was doing that free energy, and I can just broadcast and it'll be picked up. It's piggybacking off this same system, right? And, it's a powerful understanding that, hey, if that's my power source, the ocean, the universe is literally powering me with this broadcast. What I love to inspire people to consider is that the paradigms we're looking to overcome, that a lot of us are looking to really just get a step up on and see our bigger self, that is, in the law of polarity, the lower side of the information stream that's coming to me. So that carries with it all that ancestral knowledge of, fear or limit and lack and those things that come to us. That's our genetics. And then there's our environment growing up where we were taught, don't say that because you'll get in trouble, or sit down and stop playing and all that stuff. That's all programmed as the lower part of possibility. And I really love to inspire people that in that broadcast is your greatness. In that electrical connection to you is everything on the upper side of that polarity. All your talents, all your abilities, all that amazingness you're searching for. And the great proof of this is that whatever you can love was broadcast to you from the universe. And we ourselves are not separate beings that are doing this on our own. We're not just, oh, I love to play the drums and I just don't love that because I chose it one day. I believe the universe has in us everything we would love, everything we're good at, everything we could be. And when we tap into that, when we raise our vibration, like you guys and doing this great positive waves, that's where the answers are, up here in the positive frequency of love, of joy, of acceptance, and that leads to transcendence. So that higher level part of the broadcast, I think the travesty, if I want to look at it that way, is that we're just not aware it's there. We're not aware that we have all this greatness and capacity to become something so much greater than we have seen thus far. And that's where that conversation of it's already with you, right? The greatness is already there. It's just looking to be revealed. And I'm breaking those barriers down to myself where I'm not letting any concern or fear or worry stop me from going into those places and discovering something new, like jumping out of a plane, which Joe, me and you will talk about that as we go forward. I have not forgotten. So yeah, that's my take on Source. And I don't want to take all the time, but I wanted to at least put that down and open up that conversation that inside my electrical connection to the universe is everything I'm looking for. So all the answers are right here. And I keep looking, I may be tempted to keep looking out there for something when it's really inside me.
I love what you shared there, Mark. So much came to mind. And when you first started talking, I had that vision of, it's what Tesla found. That's what Tesla was, giving us when he gave us the free energy. But one thing that I really wanted to pick your brain on is when you were speaking about it's already within us. And I agree. And part of me believes that junk DNA that scientists keep finding and ignoring, that probably is our greatnesses awaiting to be awoken, awaiting to be discovered, awaiting to be found. Now, I don't know if that resonates with you at all, but that definitely really sparked some curiosity into my noggin up there.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that, Joe. That something I heard Greg Braden say, and I love Greg, and I follow a lot of his work. And he was saying the same thing. The scientists are uncovering that apparently useless information has a lot of power in there. I can't imagine the universe, and I don't know how everyone else thinks about this. Why would the universe do anything that was pointless?
Right.
Anything. Like, to me, the divine matrix is perfect, is absolutely perfect. And the imperfection, and this is something like I have a coach and mentor right now that has that vision, and it's really inspiring me to go even farther. What if everything is perfect and I am viewing imperfectness? I am seeing things as imperfect, all because I haven't yet found that path that I'm looking for. Doesn't mean that I have mistakes. Doesn't mean I'm a failure. It doesn't mean anything. That the universe works perfectly through the laws of the universe, which are absolute. There's perfection there. And rather than hold ourselves to this standard, what if we just unveiled that next piece of greatness in us and took a step and took a step and took a step, and not held ourselves to any standard of accomplishment, which I think it starts to build that restriction of I'm not capable, right? I feel like I should be already at this level, and because I'm not there, well, now I feel like this, I'm restricted. But I've learned that, what if I just see the whole system as perfect? And instead of feeling bad, like you do, like I know, I'd love to get to know you more, Joe, but I know Matthew's always beaming with love, and he's always just shining that light, and it's so inspirational. Yes, that's what we need to do. Shine the light. So if I wake up and I think maybe I don't have all the money I want, maybe I don't have all the sources of resources I'm looking for, what if I could just say thank you for the air in my lungs? Thank you for the food I'm eating. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to be better today. And I'm going to be better today. And that's going to feel better than yesterday. And one step. I don't have to be this, genius. I have everything and all the answers. I can just lean into loving my life. And then things will just improve.
Mark, are you in my mind? Get out of my mind.
Yeah, you're like beaming right in there.
So seriously, like during my group Reiki session last night in the heart center meditation part, like that's what came through was that, this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. And that's all that kept playing over and over. So I love how that just resonated with me there. But one thing I want to throw out there with what you were saying is, as humans, we are literally label makers. And I've said this multiple times before, so this ain't my first time. If as humans, we can stop judging good, bad, negative, positive, and all that crap and just take it as an experience, it could be perfect. The most horrible thing happened to me. But in hindsight, that was the greatest thing that ever could have happened to me. So how is it negative if it brought a positive? There are those labels that are totally screwing us up as a society. So getting out of that egotistical mind and having to put a label on everything is where a lot of us are creating our own demise, so to say.
Absolutely. Like our forward momentum, something I call the conveyor belt. My vibration lays down to the universe the next thing that comes to me. And it's all about like, what do I want the next thing to be that comes to me? If I'm not aware my vibration is bringing that, then I am secretly causing my own problem, because as I feel bad, restricted, angry, I'm arguing, I'm dissatisfied. As I keep laying that down, more of that comes in. And I got an image, but I want to stay on point for you. What you just said, this, it's so inspirational to me in the laws, right? To really understand the law, that when we're in that negative space, they know now that the extremes of that, so fear and love, are quantumly entangled. And if I want to stay in fear, I can easily switch to love in a split second, because they're the same energy. And they already know in the science, for those that love the science of it, the travel from one to another in a quantum entangled field is instantaneous. There's zero time. That's even more inspirational, right? Because we can go from down to up immediately, and it's a decision that we make.
Yeah, it's the same thing that people were telling me with the nervousness and excitement. It's the same vibration. You are choosing which one you want to call it. And, getting on these Zoom calls, being on, in front of the camera, it was always nerve-wracking for me. And then I realized, like, wow, they're right. It is the same vibration. I'm just being that human label maker and putting a poor vibration out there. And once I switch that, I'm happier to be here in front of you all and to be bringing these messages to the collective. So yeah, I love that. That's perfect.
I love that too. Go ahead, Matthew.
Yeah, man. No, you guys are right on, man. I love this talk, because that's kind of how I feel about life in general, is like, we're all slivers of the universe. We're all experiencing the universe as we're experiencing it. We're supposed to experience it as we're experiencing it. So to be that patient self, like, that's where I know I've discussed this on this podcast and other things, but I come from, like, I was very angry when I was younger and stuff like that. We moved around a lot. I didn't keep a lot of friends, kind of thing, and that was fine. I didn't know it was fine back then, and I'm kind of glad it happened, because it taught me a lot of who I wanted to become and taught me what I wanted to surround myself with. And I've always wanted to go towards the good side, but I was stuck in that bad cycle for the longest time. And then I finally snapped out of it eventually. I was like, well, if things aren't working how I want them to work, what do I have to do to step to the next level? And that's when I got into like Anthony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within, and then just started going from there. Like, I just started reading and I haven't stopped, because I think once that switch gets turned on, you're just like, can't. Constant learning, right? So if we're all slivers of this universe and we're all supposed to experience this life, the good, the bad, the ugly, all the middle in betweens, we just have to learn how to love the moment. And if you can learn how to love the moment, even washing dishes can be pleasurable. Now, it takes a minute to get there, but once you've learned how to do that, snapping that decision that this is how it's going to be, this is what I want to feel now, I'm tired of feeling this way, so let's do this. How do we do that? Making a decision. Once you've made the choice, it is that instantaneous choice that you made. Now, it might have taken you 100 times to make that choice to actually get it into a habit, but I'm just like, man, it's awesome. Flipping the light switch to love. I love that.
Yes.
Flipping the light switch to love. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, this is it. It's amazing to have this conversation about, the decisions of it. And one of the things I'd love everyone to take a look at is that there are one of the fulcrum points, I believe, and I call them fulcrum points. And I'm actually launching a seminar on fulcrum points that a majority of people encounter, these pivotal points of growth, so that we can just set it up in a structure of here are the common fulcrum points that you're going to encounter. One of them being what I call the reverse conveyor belt. Are we aware that we've been programmed through our experiences that events control how we think and how we feel? And that's the reverse conveyor belt. Until I get a hold of that I realize that if something does go wrong, if I get a flat tire or I'm late, someone detained me and I'm late for an event or whatever it may be, like you said, Matthew, washing dishes, I don't want to do that. Am I aware that my perception of it is controlling my feeling tone, which is in turn controlling what comes next? So now I have a good reason why my life is miserable, right? Now I can claim, well, you don't understand. You're not married to my husband, or you didn't grow up the way I did, or, have you ever not had any money, right? And that's where those paradigms come in. It's an extension of circumstances control how I feel. And that's why I love what you guys are doing, because it's really promoting that. Choose how you want to feel, because that will eventually change what shows up in your life. And it's choosing that decision first and saying, I'm going to be happy with what I have. And that's where gratitude really comes in, right? Got to be one of the most powerful modalities we can use to be grateful for everything we have, so that now I generate a vibration of increase in my heart. I'm going to the higher level of polarity in that vibration. That's going out to the universe. And now I'm getting better friendships. I'm getting better situations. Right now, we're part of this group called Harvest Hosts, where people open up their homes to RVers that are traveling around, and they have connections here. We can back in, plug in, hook our hose up, and I look out the window and, I'm on this guy's $300,000 home with a beautifully manicured backyard with the trees. And I just posted on Internal Awakening the frosty morning we had just a couple days ago. And I'm like, what a blessed life. What a blessed life to wake up in a new place, pop the door open in this fresh, gorgeous background, right? And yes, this is amazing. How did this happen? How did I get here? is the phrase, right? And that goes back to, this lesson of choosing first, choosing that I'm gonna have this great life, and here's how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned gratitude. I was going to totally hit that next as soon as you said that, but then it was like perfect timing, because that's exactly how I started off. Was like, I just started being thankful for one thing a day, and then it just started, progressing from there. Because once you think of one thing, then a whole slew of things start entering your mind. Well, I'm kind of glad that I saw those trees today. I'm kind of glad I smelled that flower today. You know, it's very simple stuff. I love how Wayne Dyer would put it too, how it'd be like just stare at a tree or just stare at like a flower for a little while and like just be with that. And if you can find a moment of joy, just a moment, even in the hardest of times, then you can really start to work on creating that more positive energy, where I know people are stuck in that negative field, because I feel that, man. Like, I think we have all been in dark times here. And so we move. And so we make the decision to take another step. We make another decision to get up a little earlier, for instance. Just something small, you start to shift. You replace bad habits with good habits. Not bad, good, but you guys understand. It's hard to put a positive, negative on anything, really, for me these days, just because I feel like, again, we're here to experience it all, even when we're deeply sad or upset. Like, we're meant to feel that deep sadness and upsetness for the time being. Now, it's a season, it doesn't last, it will move, but you have to learn that it's okay to feel that way and be open about it, I think, because when we become open and vulnerable, it shifts on a whole nother level.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I got a couple things to share that you may appreciate. Is I agree with you. I'm right on board with that. I don't like even negative, positive, or good and bad, right? Is perception. It's perception. Although we can measure a negative polarity to a positive polarity, we can measure it and be static about it. I like to use these combinations. I like to talk about expansive and restrictive. I like that because I think that adds to perception, right? Is this perception restrictive or is it expansive? So if I'm always opening it up, then I feel that there's more of a benefit to using that word, for us. And then, of course, the other one would be disadvantage and advantage, because I think negative, positive, people see negative and they think, I want to eradicate that. And the phrase I love to use is, you don't try to get rid of the darkness. That's not possible. And the law is you can't do it. So you're fighting that losing battle. It would be better if you just shine your light in the darkness. That's how you combat the darkness, and that's a Buckminster Fuller, right? You don't change the existing reality by fighting the existing reality. You create a new reality that makes the old one obsolete. I don't need this any longer because I've created this now. Yep. So I like that. And the gratitude, right? The bigger picture for me in gratitude is this inner magnet that I am creating, that I'm building. Every day I'm building this magnet from the inside out. And if I stay grateful for everything I have, then that puts me in a higher frequency of increase. And in the science way, the source we're talking about in this conversation, and I think you're going to love this image too, is that I am not restricted to a certain wattage of how much of this electricity I can draw into me. I can draw more and more and more from the universe. So when we look outside our windows and we see athletes performing at an incredible level and celebrities, killing it in their industry, maybe even our own mentors, right, that are really up there doing what they do and creating this great life for themselves, right? Rather than be jealous of that, if I realize they built this from the inside out, they intended this, and they just kept drawing more energy to them. I often see the athlete just practicing. What are they imagining? What do you think's going on in their head while they're training? They see those game moments, don't they? They're in there like, I could see myself killing it when it matters, right? Or as Les Brown said, no one dreams with them on the bench, right? You're the one taking the winning shot. That's the way it always is. So with that energy of expanse, there is something I call the law of repulsion. And that is the polarized opposite of the law of attraction. So I'd love everyone to consider, if your vibration is in that restrictive frequency, which there are advantages to that, it's not sending out a signal saying, I'm ready for the big game, coach. So that's kind of like, that's a way for me to look at it, that if I can stay here and just keep building it, that image I have of the great life I'm looking for is right in front of me. And I'm bringing more energy from the universe into my heart and filling it. I'm not repelling it. Says I see that these strands of energy are coming into my chakras. And if I'm in a negative space, I'm repelling it. I'm saying, get out of here. I don't want you. And I think that's a very powerful image to help people see themselves a little bit more.
I agree. One of the exercises I found that I've been doing recently that does help, like if I find myself going towards that side of things and really want to shift and accept the energy that can come into me, it is like in a meditation, I will be like, I find when I am radiating boundless love to all the families on earth now. Now, I've been doing this for a couple of years now. Every time I start with that meditation, though, and keep repeating the phrase in my head, I literally feel these like pulses, like going out and out and out. And I do it with the whole entire universe. I do it with the whole earth. I don't just do it. I mean, I do it to situational things too, but I believe that if we give enough love, if we send out enough love, that it has no other choice. What happens when you send something out?
It comes back.
That's the science part of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I like the background that we have on this positive waves right now, is because that pulsing wave is exactly what I see in people. Every time I look at a human, I'm just like, see that pulsing wave, and I love that about people, and that's why it's hard for me not to love people when I see them nowadays.
Wow. Yeah. And we're very entangled in that, because when I meet people, I immediately start picking up on their vibration. And then all I see is the greatness in them. And it feels so amazing when you connect. And I love talking to people about, what are you doing? What are you working on? What do you love? And they're feeling that, and they light up like they're 5 years old, and they just talk about, yeah, and I'm doing this and I love doing that. And yeah, just encourage them, lean more into that, find out what's that next step. What could you do with that? Go further with it. And it's great, right? Because as people like ourselves that are connecting with so many other souls on the planet, did you ever feel back when you started that somehow you have to be so great that you had to carry everybody? And now you can see how amazing everyone is. So it's like, oh, all I have to do is me. That's all I have to do. And everyone else will do them, and we'll all be amazing together.
I love that, Joe.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I love it as well. I was just thinking about something you guys were talking about a moment ago with the teachings and stuff that I've done. They talked about like basically doing away with duality, and going through the course, it made sense. I understood it, but you can't experience an amazing love if you've never been through an amazing pain or a horrific pain, or however you want to label it. That duality has to be there. But the thing is we change our thought process, our perspective, as you said, Mark, and we choose to see it as a positive, as a bonus, as a win, as a lesson, as a learning experience, as whatever it is. So we're not sitting in that low vibrations that Matthew was talking about a moment ago, where, if it doesn't resonate with you, why are you continuing to do that routine? Why? If it's not for you, your body's telling you. Those repeating cycles of the shit that keeps coming at you is telling you. Open your heart and listen, literally.
Absolutely. I love that. I love using workout references. Most people can really attach to that. It's a majority of people understand it. And especially since I was talking to that guy who loves going to the gym every single day, I would say, okay, so perception, right? Those weights cause pain, cause misery. I get sweaty, I get uncomfortable, and then the next day I'm sore. Those weights are horrible. That's terrible. And he starts laughing. I said, yeah, but you get it, don't you? You saw the advantage of working with that perceived restriction. And that's that's how I liken this to what you just said, Joe. It's like, it's a decision. Every single thing is here's something. It means nothing. It's void of opinion. There is no relevance to it. You choose. You choose at every single moment. You get to choose. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? And, it's funny, too, because I suggested something. I want to open this up to you guys, see what you think of this. And it caused a lot of unrest in my community when I first threw this out there. So let's go a little deep in this and say, my opinion is that no one that ever makes a decision is ever right. They're never correct. They're just choosing what they want. And there was that, you're not right, you're just choosing. And that caused that, because there was a lot of opinion that I've been fighting to be right all my life. I don't like that question, right? I don't want to talk about that. But what do you guys think of that notion? If I could just let go of this pressure that I have to find a needle in a haystack, instead just say, what would I love? And I'll choose things that lead me to that end.
Yes.
I love that. Go ahead, Matthew.
All right. Yeah, for me, you're not choosing right, but you're not choosing wrong. It's just you're choosing, right? That's the choice inherently. And then that choice brings you some experience, whatever that experience is going to be. Now, what do you do with the experience in order to add or not add to your life, Or do you want that experience again in your life? Because sometimes it's like, no, I don't want that in my life again. Yeah, I don't feel there's a right or wrong in any choice, other than hopefully to the extremes, there's some probably not so good choices. But I think that happens, from time to time in human society for sure, especially when you're stuck in negative cycles. That's how it generates more and more negativity. That's why I really, really try to stay on the positive side of things now, because I can choose it now.
I love how you said that too. That goes right into what I was going to share. With what you said, Mark, you make the choice. And this morning, I'm asking my son's mother for a little assistance. I'm driving my son to the robotics meeting tonight. And I caught all sorts of hell, all sorts of grief. And the last thing I wrote to her, word for word, quotes here, not going to argue. You made your choices. So love the choices you make. And that's one way to stop a narcissist in an argument, is to point out the fact that these are the choices you made. Not saying everybody on the viewers screen here is a narcissist, but that's just a situation that I had to handle with love. And I could have wrote many horrible, awful things. I could have stayed in the argument, but I chose not to. And trust me, I had a nice little thing written out, and I'm like, I don't want to say that. That's going to create more hell. That's going to make my heart hurt. That's going to cause grief for my son. I'm going to say this instead. And I rewrote it and I reworded it and I proofread it a few times. I was like, yeah, that vibrates with me. That is the choice that I want to make. That is what I want to say. And it worked. It worked out well, because it's the recognition of, here's your choices. You made them. Love it. That's what you chose. If you didn't love it, why'd you choose it?
Right. And the way you put that, and the way you handled that, that's something that I would use as a teaching tool. You see how he decided, I don't want to make this worse than it is. I think I like to invite people into considering, are you attempting to put your house fire out with the flamethrower? Think about that for a second. Like, I'm going to engage with this energy and I'm going to go down there. Now you might perceive they're in a lower vibration than you, not that you're any better than them, but you might perceive they're in a negative vibration and you're in a higher vibration. Am I going to let them bring me to their vibration, or am I just going to maintain myself? And thank you, right? Here comes the gratitude. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to see a higher side of myself, to see a stronger side of myself. I respect your choice. I'm going to leave it right here, and I'm going to go on in the way I want to go on. And I love that. That's beautiful, Joe. That's beautiful. It's a great example of how we can choose, and that our programs don't have to control our responses to everything, ever.
I'm learning a lot from Matthew and how much love he throws out there. And I'm a little behind, but it's fine. I'm exactly where I need to be, because I'm learning how to continue putting that love into every situation and get out of that ego mind where the feels got hurt and I want you to hurt like I hurt. No, fuck that. That's not worth it. It's pointless. So just putting the love out there as often as possible is the best way to go. And Matthew, you're an amazing teacher, and I thank you for that.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate you, man. You're no further behind than anyone else, man. We're all in the same fun existence walking this planet. So let's have some fun with it.
Exactly. And that actually leads up to today's card pull if y'all are ready for it.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Don't fucking force it. Allow that shit to come to you.
Perfect.
I love this deck of cards. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So can I reference something off that?
Sure.
How you guys feel about Tom Bilyeu?
Don't know the name.
Heard the name, but I don't recall.
Okay, I'll give you a quick background, then I'll get to a quote he did, right? Because I want it to be relevant to why I'm quoting Tom. Tom Bilyeu, admittedly, was somebody when he was younger was so insanely average that his own mother basically told him authentically, I just always assumed you were going to fail. And yeah, that's powerful, isn't it? And he was exempling that. And at one point he was dating someone and he didn't want to go to college. And he said, my only job was to get out of bed long enough to make her a sandwich when she came back from work for lunch. That's where he came from. Right. Since then, he is co-founder of the Quest Energy Bar, was basically the CEO, billion-dollar company, sold that, opened up Impact Theory, which is a show that he does that he invites the most successful stories on and interviews them. Tell your tale. Let's spread it. That's probably where you heard of him, Tom Bilyeu. But he went and he did a talk at an event one day, and he basically told them his journey and his story. Right. So when you said, let that fucking shit come to you, I heard his quote. He said, so someone could throw a rock at you and you could duck, you could block it, you could knock it away, or you could let it hit you in the face. And when it lands on the ground, it will now be a lump of gold at your feet. And there's what you just pulled, Joe. Like that's it, right? What's the lump of gold? The perception of restriction. If I allow difficulty to show up in my life, now I get to do what I was saying there to you, Matthew, which is advantage, disadvantage. Nothing's good or bad. Here is something I can make use of. What's the advantage in this situation? And that's, to me, that's it. Let it come. Let it come. I used to run a mastermind on off of Noble Goldman, where I had, and you might know Kim Harvin, Matthew. I don't know if you know of Kim Harvin, but she would come to me and show up at that mastermind and challenge everything I was saying. Everything. She would just come at me. And I remember thinking, God, I wish you didn't show up. I don't know if I want to deal with this all the time. And then as soon as I thought that, I went, oh, no. That's not how this life works. This is helping me get better. She's a gift for me. And my heart would love her and welcome her. Keep challenging me. Keep helping me be better, because that's what you're doing. And it was great, because then she'd come in and she'd make, she'd challenge some of the concepts. We'd think about it. We'd talk about it. They were the most amazing masterminds, because you just let the good come in from that challenging moment. And that's my take on your poll, by the way. Thank you.
Love that, Mark. Appreciate that, man.
Awesome, guys. This was a great topic today. So what is our conclusion with what is source, my friends? Let's do maybe a 1 or 2 sentence conclusion to what is source to you. Start with Mark, then Joe, then me.
All right. I'm going to summarize this as source is the great universal ocean birthing my every minute and giving me the potential to find my greatness.
Damn, I got to follow that. I mean, so years ago, somebody brought to me, 10 years ago, they brought to me this theory that source is energy, that God is energy. And at the time, I wasn't a big believer in God. I had my anger issues and this and that. And as I think back to that conversation, I totally resonate with that. God is energy. God is everywhere. God is that black matter within our realm that feeds us that life force energy that we need when we ask for it, that it's there at any given moment. We just have to be out of our brain and in our heart and wise enough to say, yeah, I could use a little energy, or I could use a little more love for this situation, or whatever it may be in your moment in time.
Nice one, man. For me, each of us is source. We are source. All of us. We all are connected to that central oneness of what we're living in, this experience. So if we're all source and we're all one with it, we can all access it. It just takes some practice. Hence the daily habits I'm always going on about.
Beautiful.
Thank you. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to put information from Marc into our description so that you can find a way to connect with him. And then from there, you can connect with him at your own will, to all of our viewers here. So thank you for coming on, Marc. We appreciate you and love you. And thank you for sharing and shining your light.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for doing what you're doing. The positive waves, right? I love it. I love it. It's a great work in the world. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Look forward to having you back when you're ready to chat some more, my friend.
Awesome. Have a great day, everybody. And we are sending you positive waves for an awesome 2023.